Greetings fellow mammals, welcome back. Up front my preferred loadout, as well as my initial ranking of this new addition to the SMG category. After the first 5 hours I placed this weapon in B tier. We will see if that holds up in the end, but now, like always, we will start with the stats, then I'll go over my builds, and ultimately we will reconsider that tier list placement and if that still holds up after leveling this thing to rank 50. Damage profile wise, the PP-19 falls in the same group as the SGX, PW5A3, KV9, SL9 and CZ3A1. So we get 25 up to 9 meters, 20 up to 21 meters, 16.7 up to 36 meters, 14.3 up to 75 meters and 12.5 beyond that. This translates into a simple 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 BTK graph. And with a fire rate of 720 rounds per minute, the PP wiggles itself right between the SL9 and the MP5. So we get a time to kill of 250, 333, 417, 500 and then 583 milliseconds. Just for comparison, the SL9 is a bit slower than that with a fire rate of 675 and the MP5 is a tiny bit faster with 771 RPM. This framing will also play a huge role in the ranking later, but first we have to talk about headshots. Thankfully this weapon has received all headshot ammo types, so that's a good start, but if you're familiar with the other choices from this damage group, you will already know that this unfortunately doesn't mean much. As you can see, basic headshots are, as usual, utterly pathetic. Hollow Point allows for at least a clean one-step drop with 2 headshots, but no further improvements, and Synthetic Tip does the same, but adds on to that with 3 headshots where you can drop another step except for the first range. So all in all, nothing to cheer about, but also not that unreasonable to pick, especially since both of these ammo types have the cheap budget on this weapon. So Hollow Point is only 15 points and the upgrade to Synthetic Tip costs just 5 more, reaching 20. Now if you are asking yourself whether those points are worth it or not, I have a rather simple answer to that during the next section. We are starting with my main build. This is what I landed on after reaching level 40 and I haven't changed it since. Muzzle-wise, the PP has unfortunately been mutilated. You only get access to a single suppressor, and although that's already awful, it also had to be the 30-point CQB one for whatever reason. So it's the most expensive and, in my eyes at least, the least useful of the bunch. A great start. But hey, I want stealth, so this has to be it, I guess. Moving on to the barrels, we encountered a new cryo option. A few people have already asked me when, or rather if, they should pick this over the light barrel and what it even does exactly. So here is my summarized answer to those questions. The cryo barrel is essentially nothing else than a regular heavy barrel, meaning it reduces the spread buildup during prolonged fire. The difference to the heavy barrel lies in the added bonus that it does not reduce your ADS speed, but for that feature you also have to pay 10 more points, which means the cryo barrel is just as expensive as the light one. So what's the difference there? Well, the light barrel improves the overall accuracy while moving, but not the build-up of spread. And that's why I would recommend, as a general rule of thumb, if you have the choice between light and cryo, the deciding factor should be whether your weapon is a heavy hitter or a pea shooter. For example, theoretically, something like the TR7 only needs 3 or 4 shots for a kill. The spread build-up during those 4 rounds is not that bad, so it helps more to improve the overall accuracy with the light barrel. On something like this, where it's likely that you are going to shoot 5, 6, maybe 7 or even 8 shots at range, the spread buildup is more relevant and the initial accuracy is pretty good anyway. So in this case I would pick the cryo barrel over the light one. Then you might be surprised to see no grip at all, but I will showcase why I decided to do that in just a second, so bear with me. For the magazine I just stuck with the default, although if you like fast strafe speeds you could switch this to the 20-round version, which by the way has one of the fastest strafe speeds in the entire game. I just felt like 20 rounds were often not enough on this thing, and that's why I kept the 30-rounder. And now you can see the answer to the headshot question. Why Synthetic Tip? Well, because I can. Rather simple. I have the points, I have the accuracy, and I have the lack of recoil. And regarding that last part, that's why the buffer right here is essential. Combined with my usual red dot and, last but not least, the violet laser, you end up with a weapon that looks like this on the test range. yeah, this thing has basically no recoil at all. And it is very easy to land headshots, even 2 or 3 or even 4. So, short review of this final product. This build provides excellent accuracy, stealth, no recoil, and somewhat rewarding headshots. And if you use the 20 round magazine, you also get insane mobility. I think this is going to be a very comfortable setup for most of you. Now, to be fair, I would prefer having the long suppressor with its recoil smoothing, which would also allow me to spend another 5 points on a fast magazine, but that's not possible. And to be honest, I'm not sure why. This seems like an artificial limitation and I am not a fan. If you don't care about the stealth, you could also pick one of the flash hiders and then upgrade the laser accordingly, so 20 or 30 point blue. That way you would have amazing hipfire as well, but as you know, I don't really care about that as much. This setup is for the nostalgic 2042 on launch enjoyers. So the 2 people out there that suffer from significant memory loss. We need of course the 53 round drum mag, the one suppressor we may choose, a sight, and then I made use of the recent extended barrel changes, picked that one, which reduces my ADS speed now, but it's still only 200 milliseconds, so that's fine. And in return I can save 5 points and also get the better velocity. And those 5 points that I saved are then reinvested into the buffer. These big gimmick magazines are still way too expensive, so this is more of a joke setup, but honestly it still works, so have fun if you want to give it a try. And fun fact, this is the Battlefield 6 PP time to kill, and this is the Battlefield 2042 PP time to kill on launch. Funny how perspectives can change, huh? Anyway. Finally, one last gimmick build. This is a full hipfire setup, although it may look a bit weird initially. We got the CQB sub, which on this setup actually makes sense, the flashlight and green laser combo of course, the 10-point hand stop so you can shoot while sprinting, and then I actually picked the extended barrel plus buffer combo again for those times where you do ADS. This weapon has no short barrel, so that's the best you can do. And by the way, picking the extended barrel doesn't actually affect any mobility that's relevant for a hipfire build. It only reduces the ADS speed. So if you enjoy running around and firing from the hip, there you go. You might have noticed that it's actually pretty hard to build this weapon into something that doesn't work. It's very user-friendly, I would say. So why did I initially put it into B tier? Well, it's simply the performance. The time to kill isn't amazing, but also not bad. And since it doesn't have any recoil to speak of, pretty much everyone should be able to level this without much trouble. Adding the headshot ammo does help slightly, but as you saw on the graphs, the effect isn't huge, and the big magazine is sadly too expensive to be anything more than a gimmick. And that brings me back to the niche it fits in between the MP5 and SL9. I haven't covered those weapons in a video yet, but they are essentially the same thing in 2 different ends of the spectrum. The MP5 obviously just kills faster because of the fire rate, and the SL9 is a bit slower, but has even less recoil and also access to the heavy extended barrel, so arguably it's even better at collecting those mid to long range headshots. So ultimately you end up asking yourself, what exactly is the PP-19 here for? And to be honest, my only answer to that is filler? It's just one more gun that does nothing special but also doesn't hurt anyone. It's pretty forgettable, but I can't say I had a bad time leveling it. It's just there. And that means, for me, B tier sounds fine. This PP is average. It doesn't hurt using it, but you also won't miss out on anything if you don't try it. And that's it for today. Do you agree with my sentiment or did you have a different experience? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for your time, thanks to my channel mammals, and I will see you on the battlefield. Sorrow out.